I now call on Deputy Clare Daly. 20 minutes, Deputy.
Thanks, Ceann Comhairle. I think when we look at any organisation going forward and reform, as we are in terms of Science Foundation Ireland, that we have to start really by looking back and considering where it's come from and an evaluation of the organisation and its remit to date. Has it been fit for purpose before we look at changing it? And I have to say, from a personal point of view, my first knowledge of Science Foundation Ireland came a number of years ago when I was a county councillor, when a query was raised on behalf of a researcher in one of the universities who noticed that funds which had been made available by Science Foundation Ireland for a specific project weren't actually being used for that project at all, and that the work being undertaken in the university was really done to advance the private interests or whim of other people and organisations that were there to benefit from it. So at that time we challenged that situation, tried to get to the bottom of it as to why there was no adequate monitoring by SFI for the funds, the public monies that had been given to this college for a specific purpose. And I have to say, my experience of the interaction with the organisation at the time wasn't a good one. We never got any answers, and we never got any accountability as to where that money was being spent. And I think it was maybe not the first time that controversy has attached to this organisation. There was clearly a lot of negative publicity and controversy over the appointment of Mark Ferguson as Director General over a year ago, on a number of fronts, really, to be honest. Clearly, the first was the...
You want to be careful, Deputy, about mentioning people's names here. Thanks.
Sorry, Ceann Comhairle, but I think the post of Director General and it being filled on a salary scale that breached the cap was not a good thing. That caused a lot of concern at the time. I think there was a lot of concern expressed as well about the person who was given that job in terms of their record in the private sector. This is an organisation which is in charge of really a multi-billion funding pot, which has been steered in the direction of commerciality. That's really what this bill is in part about, and therefore those at the helm need to be the best people. Minister Sherlock, when the appointments were made, talked about putting people at the helm who had extensive commercialisation experience, talked about what a tremendous coup it was for Ireland that we gained this type of expertise as it was. But when you examine some of the activities that were undertaken in the private sector in Britain by this individual and his company, you wouldn't actually be really inspired that this is the type of experience that SFI or indeed the Irish economy would benefit from. And I think that just in some ways maybe sets the scene. When we're looking, and this is the key thing really, at extending the commerciality of SFI, we have to start by asking, what research has there been already into SFI's own investment portfolio to date? What sort of returns have been delivered and who has benefited from them? Because it is the case that substantial amounts of taxpayers' money have already been invested in it, and it really does get to the heart of the debate that we have. I think we would all agree that there can be no economic recovery in this state without the creation of jobs. And developments in science and technology, the state spearheading that area is a key really, which could unlock and benefit the economy in that regard. Investment in research and development can be and should be a crucial part of that recovery, and I do think that we have an opportunity actually to develop things in that way. The last government talked a lot about the smart economy and the green economy, which was absolute and utter rot from the point of view of what they did and the direction in which they took the economy forward. In actual fact, they talked about it but implemented the opposite. But we have to start from the point of what is in the best interest of the Irish economy and where are we at now. And we have an incredible situation where people have been educated in this state who have substantial talents which we can tap into for the benefit of society at large that is not being utilised. Over 100,000 qualified people lie idle on the dole queues. 4,000 postdoctoral researchers are out of work at the moment. Now, that's an expertise and a skill that's been untapped at the moment. There's huge opportunities out there to put these people to work and to benefit from their expertise, tap into it for the benefit of the whole economy. But what are the safeguards in this bill that will lead us to believe and ensure that the benefits of the investment in research return to the citizens and the state, rather than to the profits of a few or to be siphoned off for the benefits of private companies? What safeguards are in place to ensure that this investment is not just siphoned off as a sort of a slush fund for private companies? And I think the reason why we need to explore this a bit more is quite clear. Minister Sherlock himself is on the record as saying that the private sector does not fund research and development at the optimum level,